Excellencies, distinguished guests, dear colleagues and friends, welcome to the IFFD Briefing of 2025. I extend a warm welcome to our co-sponsors, the Permanent Missions of the Philippines, the Republic of Poland to the United Nations, the Division of Inclusive Social Development of UNDESA, and the Doha International Family Institute. Your support is invaluable in advancing our shared goals. As we gather today, we reflect on a momentous year past. 2024 marked the 30th anniversary of the International Year of the Family. This milestone reaffirmed the critical role families play in building resilient societies and fostering sustainable development. The anniversary served as a catalyst for a renewed focus on family policies and their impact on global social progress. As you know, the International Federation for Family Development has been at the forefront of these preparations, leading initiatives such as the drafting of a civil society declaration and co-organizing expert group meetings, awareness-raising events all over the globe, and our most recent event, a gathering in Cebu in the Philippines of more than 1,500 parents and youth from 51 countries for the International Federation for Family Development World Congress. Our event today, towards the Second World Summit for Social Development, Innovating for Families and a Renewed Social Pact, will help us prepare for this landmark summit, where we will be poised to elevate family policies within the global development agenda. IFFD has been at the forefront of these preparations, and our working groups with young academics have been researching and developing strategies to tackle key issues such as early childhood development, youth social integration, and the value of unpaid care work. I'd like to express my gratitude to our distinguished speakers from various UN agencies, civil society, and academia, whose insights will be invaluable in shaping our discussions and future actions. I'd also like to take this opportunity to share our vision for the coming years. Following the celebration of the 30th anniversary of the International Year of the Family and its preparations, we are now entering a critical implementation phase. Our focus is on driving innovation for families worldwide by implementing the policy recommendations gathered in recent years. As a federation of parents and family enrichment centers spanning 68 countries and collaborating with a network of over 200 mayors and governors committed to implementing family-oriented policies, we are uniquely positioned to advocate for families and drive meaningful change. We have listened to the concerns of parents, from the need for care and support for their family members to the impact of new technologies and the digital divide. We recognize the importance of decent jobs in breaking intergenerational cycles of poverty, the necessity of work-family balance, and the urgency of highlighting the role of fathers at home. With these priorities in mind, we will adopt an innovative and strategic foresight approach, ensuring we are as prepared as possible to meet the challenges on the horizon of the World Social Summit and the last years of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. And finally, allow me to be the first to congratulate this year's IFFD Family Award recipients. To the province of Bataan in the Philippines, and to the SOS Children Villages International. Your commitment towards families is truly commendable. It is your work that embodies the spirit of commitment to families that we seek to promote and to celebrate. As we embark on today's discussions, let us remember that our collective efforts have the power to shape a more inclusive, equitable, and family-responsive world. Thank you all for your dedication and participation in this critical dialogue. Now, allow me to turn to His Excellency Krzysztof Siekierski, Permanent Representative of the Republic of Poland to the United Nations. Your Excellency, you have the floor for opening remarks.
Thank you so much, Nora. It's great to be with you all today. Congratulations for the recipients of the awards. It is my great pleasure, to meet you all as the chair of this year session of the CSOC-D, because we do believe, and I do believe, that the families are the cornerstone of society. And when you talk about social cohesion, social inclusion, solidarity, and social resilience, as are the main topics of today, of this year's session of the Commission, it's all about the families. And so much. Again, thank you for the invitation. And I do believe that in the documents that we will be adopting in the end of the session, there is the family is the role of the families are well secured in the final outcomes of the session. So I do believe it will be adopted on Friday consensually. So it will just underline the role of the families. Also, thanks to the delegations of the national member state delegations that are supporting our effort to secure them in the text. But let me say, of course, that as we are meeting today on the eve of on the perspective of the World Social Summit, that will going to be conducted this year in Doha, late in autumn this year. The few things that I believe are important to be, and I hope that will be tackled and that will be discussed, and then renewed and recommitted to the in the Doha in the World Social Summit in the context of the family policies. First of all, let me say that I mean, this is an obvious conclusion that the situation of the families since the Copenhagen in the last 30 years changed dramatically in many good and bad ways. So so we are really like facing the new situation, and we have to reflect on these new challenges. First of all, of course, we all are going through the digital revolution. The digital revolution has brought both benefits and challenges to the families, both from the question of education, also economic participation, but also introduces risks such as cyberbullying, the erosion of the face-to-face social connections, and the erosion of the social bonds. So that's the challenge number one, the digital revolution. Challenge number two is, of course, the global economic crisis and the shifts that created also financial challenges for the families. So many families are not working parents are working the multiple jobs, have less time for the kids, but also there is a question of the distant work and the job displacement and the job replacement by the automation and the technological advances. So that's all these crises, economic ones, they put the extra pressure that affect family well-being, mental health, and the ability to provide a stable home environment around the world. Thirdly, of course, we are also facing in many parts of the world, we are facing demographic change, both ways. No, there are regions of the world that are rapidly aging. There are parts of the world that are facing the rapid growth in the population by the young generations. So that, of course, has a powerful impact on the economies, on the welfare, on health systems, on territorial and social cohesion. And so demographic change will really be also the one that we have to really reflect upon. No? That's, seeing that, we have to prepare the innovative solution, adaptive policies, to ensure the protection, growth, and empowerment of the families vis-à-vis these challenges. So to do that, of course, the governments and employers should adapt the policies that promote flexible work arrangements, paid parental leave, and the childcare support. Such measures should allow parents to balance professional and family responsibilities, reducing stress and improving overall family welfare. Secondly, with the digital divide growing, it's essential to equip families with the skills necessary to navigate the digital world safely and effectively. That's, of course, through the education. So programs that promote digital literacy alongside policies that protect children and families from online harm should be prioritized. And then the governments, of course, should create more robust social safety nets to protect families from economic shocks. Universal basic income, affordable housing, healthcare, and accessible education are essential components of a modern social contract that support families in all their forms. And then it's important to promote active aging using the potential of older people. That's if you see and you contemplate about the demographic change, that their experience and knowledge build solidarity and fairness between the young and older generations. That also is reflected in our outcome documents of this session of the Commission of Social Development about intergenerational dialogue. That is very important because that's also this collaboration, this connection between the young and older generation contribute to the dynamic, innovative economy and culture that's built on cohesion and the solidarity that is it's very practical to the family well-being. And finally, it's also important to invest in the community infrastructure, such as childcare centers, community programs, and mental health services to support families. So lots of work ahead of us, many challenges, but I do hope that really it's if we do it together, if we do it based on the family values, there's nothing we cannot do. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, and we really appreciate your leadership during this commission. Now allow me to turn to Her Excellency, Monina Josefina Romualdez, Undersecretary of the Department of Social Welfare and Development of the Republic of the Philippines. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Excellencies, colleagues, and friends, I first wish to thank the International Federation for Family Development for holding this important event, which the Philippines is very pleased to co-sponsor. We cannot overemphasize the importance of families and family policies for sustainable development. 30 years ago, during the preparation for the First World Summit for Social Development, governments of the ESCAP region convened in Manila and adopted the Manila Declaration on the Agenda for Action on Social Development. Among the social issues that were discussed are the weakening of family structures, women's equal and full participation in employment, and that is compatible with family life, the role of the family in supporting youth development, and the family as a provider of social protection. The Manila Declaration states that governments recognize the role of the family in achieving social development and that there is an urgent need to strengthen the family as a social institution. Then and now, the same challenges remain. Other challenges emerged and even compounded existing issues. These include gender digital divide, online and offline violence and abuse of children, trafficking in women and girls, feminization of poverty, and the rising cost of living. As a social institution that a person first encounters, the family has the important role of being the first provider of care, support, and education to a child. It is also the basic source of social protection to its dependents. When governments give fiscal and other incentives to support the family, they are investing on sustainable development and social cohesion and solidarity. In the Philippines, the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program, or the Bridging Program for the Filipino family, have provided conditional cash transfers to millions of low-income families. The support program aims to improve the performance of children and families in the education, health, and nutrition metrics. This program has facilitated access of children to education and health care and resulted in lifting many families out of extreme poverty. Laws like the first 1,000 Days Act aim to expand the country's health by providing nutrition support to children from the time of conception until their second birthday. The law requires nutrition interventions for pregnant and lactating women and their children in order to prevent infant mortality and malnutrition. The expanded maternity leave law of 2019 gave women 105 days of paid maternity leave, increased from 60 days under the previous law. The Caregiver Welfare Act, passed in 2023, recognizes the role that caregivers play with households. Policies and services for families are established not only at the national level, but also at the governments and community levels. I am proud to mention that the local government of the province of Bataan in the Philippines is one of the awardees of the IFFD Awards I congratulate the province of Bataan and, of course, Governor Jose Enrique S. Garcia III and encourage him to continue to serve as an example and inspiration to the other local governments in implementing policies for the rights and welfare of families. I look forward to the presentations and discussions of the distinguished panelists this afternoon. I hope that we will all be enriched and encouraged by today's event to work towards promoting family-friendly policies in our own spheres of influence. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. We will now move to the interactive discussion and will give the floor to Dr. Alex Vasquez, Director of International Relations of IFFD. Alex, you have the floor.
Thank you, Nora, and thank you all for coming here and responding in many ways to our call to get ready, get prepared for the upcoming World Social Summit. I'm happy to see many friendly faces that we work almost every week for the family-friendly policies, for the family agenda within these walls of the UN. And I would like to also appreciate that we have tried to design this interactive discussion with all the members of the family in mind, because we know that looking forward to the World Social Summit, we need to put all the members of the family in this comprehensive unit that we try to put it and highlight. So for this section, I will briefly introduce all the speakers now, so we can have a fluent discussion later. We have Boniface Kakowe from UNICEF. He's an early childhood development specialist and a dear friend of us. Sharifa Alemadi, the Executive Director of the Doha International Family Institute, also co-sponsor of this event. Then Mr. Dino Corel, Senior Multilateral Relations Officer of ILO, and Krishna Prasad Sakota, PhD candidate from the Miami University in mental health expert. Thank you all for coming. And just to remind you, in this interactive discussion, I will ask you up to 3 questions. And the objective is to convey these policy recommendations to member states and other stakeholders on family-oriented legislation, looking forward to the second summit on World Social Development. So let us start with the first question. In less than 2 minutes, if you can, what updates to the Copenhagen Declaration would you strengthen the recognition of families' roles in social development? Mr. Kakowe, can we start with you, please?
Yeah, thank you very much, Your Excellencies, colleagues, and dear partners. It's always a joy to participate in these conversations. But let me start by bringing it closer to reality. By the time the declaration was made in the Copenhagen Declaration, the child who was born that year is now 30 years old. Now, look at somebody who is 30 years old now and their aspirations by that time. Are they really enjoying the vision that was established? The answer is yes and no. And again, let's come closer. A child being born today, next 30 years, what's the world going to look like? So I'm going to talk more so that it's not theoretical, but we're talking of real lives. As we heard, I'm an ECD, a child development specialist, and it's also good to remind ourselves of the early childhood itself as a period, because this is the period where sometimes it's forgotten and not much emphasis is put in that period, yet the gains that are made that period, or if those gains are not realized, you cannot even reverse in adulthood. So the science is there, the evidence is there. Allow me also to bring some figures on the table just to provoke the conversation. 2 in 5 children out there are at risk of not developing to their full potential. 1 in 3 children are not growing well due to malnutrition. We can also talk of more than 2 in 5 children, 3 to 4 years, and these are specific to the UNICEF program in our countries, are not receiving the adequate stimulation, responsive care, and parenting support. These numbers are real and alarming. And because of all these deprivations, 29% of children aged 3 to 5 years are off track. They are not developing to their full potential. They are not going to realize their full potential. So the time is now. The time is now. 2023, UNICEF produced a report which is called Too Late, Too Little. So the investments that, the public investments that are going towards children are one, little, but they're also coming too late. So if you look at the pattern, as the child is growing older, that's where more investments are made. Yet, it's supposed to be the other way. So we are investing, but not at the opportune time. So that's why the report is too late, but also too little. Now, despite all this evidence, despite all this global consensus, when you look at funding, it's not coming as expected. So there's also inadequate funding. Now, if you ask me, what areas are we going to update in the declaration? I will cite three things. Early child education development or child development education is mentioned, ECE, but as we know, we are talking from conception to the age 8. I normally say intervening late is good, but it's not going to give us the results that we want. So I'm proposing on the table to say we need to bring out nurturing care, make it more visible, because that's where now we need to embrace from conception. The bank, World Bank, UNICEF, WHO, and other partners, there is a framework which most of you are aware, the nurturing care framework. Six of 5 interrelated and indivisible components of nurturing care. Children need good health, adequate nutrition, safety and security, opportunities for early learning, and grow in an environment that is responsive. So responsive care. And that's why the family comes in. So the child needs all these, and they are not indivisible. It has to come to the same child. So if I'm to put on the table, I would say that's something that has to come clearly, because yes, the education component is there, but we are missing the younger generation. Number two, I also say...
Maybe we can come back to those. Can you leave us? Now I'm going to give the floor to Sharifa Alemadi, please.
Thank you very much. I'm very glad to be in this session with you. Our friend, the International Federation of Family Development, for leading this side event, a very important one. To respond to this questions will take hours. That's why I will read my response, so to keep it 2 minutes. So I would like to begin by stating that by focusing on the family rather than targeting specific demographic like women or children, policies can safeguard and enhance the well-being of all family members and limitedly fostering social development. The Copenhagen Declaration should expand commitment to policies that promote family stability and cohesive, such as parental leave, affordable housing, family-sensitive social protection policies, as well as acknowledging unpaid care. Furthermore, the declaration should address demographic changes by adapting policies to specific national and regional contexts, considering factors such as fertility rates, child mortality, youth, and aging population. So focusing on these kind of topics.
Thank you, Sharifa. May we move to Dino, please?
Yes, no. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, also thank you for the invitation. I will try to sort of split my response in smaller pieces so that I can comply with the time limitations. First of all, I think we do have an opportunity to advance the conversation on comprehensive care economy frameworks. To also start with a figure, according to ILO research, some 748 million people worldwide are out of the labor force due to unpaid care responsibilities, with 95% of them being women. This, of course, presents a major loss of economic potential and contributes to persistent gender inequalities in employment, income, and social protection. The ILO resolution on decent work in the care economy, adopted in June 2024, establishes that care work, both paid and unpaid, is fundamental in the context of sustainable development and requires urgent policy attention. This can be done through integrated and comprehensive care and support policies and systems for decent work and gender equality, including universal social protection systems, with paid maternity, paternity, and parental leave, childcare and other care and support services, and pensions that account for caregiving interruptions. Strengthening decent work and representation for paid care workers is also important to ensure that domestic workers, long-term care workers, and childcare professionals, including those in the informal economy, have access to living wages, collective bargaining, and safe working conditions. This would help ensure families are not only supported, but actively empowered in social and economic development. Thank you.
Thank you, Dino. Krishna, please.
Thank you very much. In terms of responding to your question, I'd like to say that we need to define or redefine the definition of family planning. We all agreed that demographic is shifting, and the population pyramid are like from pyramid shape to now the rectangular shapes in all countries. And you know, the demographic transition is already in third stage in low and middle income countries already. So in that scenario, when somebody talks about family planning, they talk about family planning devices to reduce the birth rates. Now, I think we have to change that mentality. So we should be defining family planning to increase the birth rate as well, so that we can but we should address the aging issues in terms of, you know, labor shortage and other economic development as well. So that's the one thing I would like to mention. Second, I think there are many programs being, you know, conducted for maternal and child health, education, livelihood, other things. But I see very few, you know, people looking all those programs through the family perspective on that lens. Let's say I have been working on disability prevention from maternal to childhood, you know, period, giving folic acid, you know, giving nutrition and other services as well, and in terms of rehabilitation, in terms of education. But we do not look, you know, all those approaches collectively through the, you know, family science lens. That's another thing. Last thing I would like to mention is that, especially in low and middle income countries, young people are migrating, you know, out of the country. So that now we have a different kind of family structure, that is skip generation family or skip, you know, generation household. So in that case, we have to mention or design some policies or programs that address, you know, let's say grandparents taking care of grandchildren in the absence of, you know, their young children. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Krishna. Well, we'll be back to you, Boniface. Thank you for your patience. But let's go back to the second question. In less than 2 minutes, please share what policy recommendations from the International Year of the Family could guide preparations for the second World Social Summit. We can start with you, Boniface, and you can end.
No, thank you. I will try to stick to the 2 minutes. As you know, it's a lot to share, but I think I would single out the same point I raised about early child development, and also the intro was talking of the technology itself. So the technology frontiers linked to child development, but in terms of bringing efficiencies in terms of now delivering the programs in themselves. So a lot is talked of the technology movement from the negative, the bringing the inequalities, but we need to embrace that. So there's a lot of move, for example, AI could be used. I'm using the word could because there's a lot to be learned also to bring now efficiencies to design and deliver the programs. You remember the numbers I mentioned, not many kids are accessing. So using that. So I would position early child development also from the angle of the CRC, the convention itself, because member states signed, and it's a commitment. So as we need to move now towards universal access, it's building from that. So I'll single out that as one. Number two is the family-centered, social programs. We have talked of the family-friendly programs, but we normally talk of these things: good for the family, good for the society, and good for the economies. So member states, governments, when they see that ultimately the economies are going to benefit, this is going to help us a lot. And because sometimes we dwell on the family, but we don't take it far. So good for the society, good also for the economies. That's something that I think we need also to embrace. And at the same time, we know the challenges that are out there, the conflict and the like, and we also need to embrace that we reach out to those. Because children in a camp, for example, a lot of stress, and they may miss the development trajectory because of that. So I think those 3 points I would suggest that something that we need to consider as we prepare for the summit. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please, Sharifa.
Last year, the Doha International Family Institute organized a global conference to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the International Year of the Family. The Doha call to action built on megatrends impacting the well-being of families, including demographic shifts, migration, urbanization, technological advancement, and climate changes. Underscoring the pressing challenges facing families globally and the imperative for comprehensive policy responses that prioritize family well-being through family-friendly and family-oriented policies. There is a need to begin from these challenges and build on them to design evidence-based policies and programs that can promote family cohesion. For example, there is a need to strengthen families by developing policies and programs that promote stable marriage, strong family cohesion, and physical and mental well-being for all family members. Also, families and youth should be involved in the policy design process from concept to design and implementation to ensure that the recommendations are relevant and sustainable. Finally, we need to further promote work-family balance and encourage policymakers and private businesses to adapt flexible working and care arrangements, particularly reducing long working hours and promoting gender-responsive approach to work-family balance policies.
Thank you. And I hear a lot of Doha plan of action there that is coming, so thank you. Dino, please.
Thank you. Coming back to the care economy frameworks, investing in the care economy is fundamental to economic resilience and gender equality. ILO research highlights that investments in care services could create almost 300 million jobs by 2035, helping to close gender gaps in employment while improving families' well-being. This can be done through strengthened policies and measures facilitating work-life balance, paid work and care responsibilities, including measures related to the organization, time and location of work, and other terms and conditions of employment. The care workforce remains undervalued and underpaid, despite its economic and social significance. ILO Convention 189 on domestic workers and the 2004 resolution I mentioned earlier call for adequate wages and working conditions, access to social protection, freedom of association, and the right to collective bargaining for care workers. Unpaid carers, mostly women, often face lifetime income disadvantages due to their career interruptions. Thank you.
Thank you. Some years ago, we organized an event about our first home, and we were discussing about what would be the best family policy: employment, housing, or health. So definitely you come into the discussion with these great points of maybe a decent job is also that great family policies we have to be aware of. Thank you, Dino. Krishna, please.
Again, coming to your second question, I think our previous speaker already mentioned a lot of good things. I would like to reiterate what Dino said about, informal caregiving, especially by women. So now, as we mentioned, a demographic is shifting. People are giving informal care to older adults as well, to the aging population, not only to children. So in high-income countries, the caregiving was basically into kind of institutions. It was institutionalized. Now the shift is changing because institutionalized care is, it's very huge and costly, and that's not the, way we should be going. So now everybody is coming back to, family-based caregiving, like kind of informal caregiving, and it's, people, young people are giving care to children and older adults. I think we need to have some policies, programs to address that thing. And another thing I would like to mention is we need to improve, work-family balance. So now we are in an era of AI or technology. So there could be, some changes in job designs in the market. So maybe we should focus creating those kind of jobs for giving those who are in home and giving informal care as well. And the last point I'd like to mention is we should speak something about intergenerational living, because as I mentioned, we were going towards institutional care, now coming back to family-based care. But in low and middle income countries, especially in Asian and African context, we had filial piety that represents caring or taking care of your older parents. But now that is also in fragile state. So I think especially in low and middle income countries, we need to strengthen more on the importance of informal, caregiving through the family, perspective. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, now we have reached the third question that, as you know, after the World Social Summit, our horizon might be, I don't want to call it like that dramatic, but at the end of the SDGs or the last year of the SDGs. So this question is about that. How can a family perspective be better integrated into achieving the Sustainable Development Goals? And it can also serve as a way to answer maybe your key takeaways, since the SDGs are pretty open and wide. Please, Boniface, maybe you want to go back to the first recommendations you had that I cut you off. Sorry for that.
Yes, I may go back to that, but again, specific to this question, out there we feel like we listen from parents, but the question is, which parents? But sometimes we blame these parents, but we are talking of low and medium countries. These are parents who are far, far in the rural. And how much do we bring them into the conversation and get their feedback and their views? Because we are talking of family perspective, and they're the ones with the perspective. Some of us, we run away from the word parenting education to more of parenting support, deliberately. Because in those communities, education implies somebody with knowledge is coming. But remember, traditional values have been there. Children were there many, many years ago. There were some fundamentals that we can embrace. So my key message is, as we promote family-centered, listen to the people who matter, and also appreciate that they can have something to bring on the table. Because when I look at the SDGs, families are really at the core of it all. Once we have empowered families, we have empowered children, empowered communities, then the rest is going to follow. So if you ask me to advance the SDGs, we need to look at that, because that's the primary center. When a child is born, is welcomed in that ecosystem, in that structure. So I think that's where something with that we need to place effort. Number two, I think we also need to strengthen the information management system. Data is very important, because I think we need to manage the knowledge, show the data, then we can argue to inform policies and programming. Because I think that kind of evidence is going to help us a lot. The other thing I'm going to mention lastly is some strategic partnerships. Looking at member states, international organizations, donors, as we know, the funding landscape is becoming smaller and smaller. So I think going forward, in our view, we need this kind of strategic partnerships. And this is one example. Every year as we gather and have this conversation, but there are more whom we can invite and be part of this conversation. Then I think together we are going to strengthen the family, and we are going to achieve the goals that we have. So let me stop here with those remarks. Thank you.
Thank Thank you so much. I'm happy that you brought the type of parents we're relying on, because in our federation we have such a variety of countries where we operate, and sometimes we don't manage to fit them all in that federation. But for now, we have in Africa the courses are given with all the family present, which is not what's happening in Europe. And for example, in the US, they prefer to go out in the summer sometimes for a week or two to just the parents and family to really learn from each other. So thank you for bringing that up. Please, Sharifa.
To answer this question, well-being and sustainability are firstly experienced within the building blocks of societies, the family. The role of the family in social development goes beyond their reproductive and productive functions. Families are primary caregivers to their members, from children to adolescent and older person, as well as those with the specific needs. It is important to note that well-functioning families take care of their members and count on each other in times of need. Therefore, families are critical for the achievement of the SDGs, as they not only provide economic but also emotional support for all their members, especially the vulnerable ones. The SDGs cannot be achieved without the full engagement of families, fulfilling their nurturing and education roles. At DFI, we believe that international commitment cannot be localized without proper evidence production, and we are proud to be the first think tank in the Arab world that produced a policy report on family-focused social protection, which aims to nudge governments to mainstream a family approach while designing social protection policies.
Thank you, Sharifa. Please, Dino.
Thank you. Now looking at it from the perspective of the SDGs, I think again it is important to recognize care work as valuable work. Unpaid care work can be seen as an invisible foundation of economies, and both paid and unpaid care work should be measured. Investing in care not only meets growing demand for childcare and elder care, as it has been mentioned, but also creates formal employment. Care cooperatives and community-based social enterprises can play a key role in delivering high-quality, accessible care services, ensuring that no family is left behind. The ILO's 22 resolution on the social and solidarity economy provides a framework for supporting these initiatives. Embedding care-related labor and statistical standards, decent work principles, and investment strategies into SDG implementation will not only enhance family well-being, but also drive gender equality, economic resilience, and social justice. A well-supported care economy does not just benefit families, it strengthens societies and businesses, promotes inclusive growth, and accelerates progress towards the SDGs. Thank you.
Thank you, Dino. Krishna, please. Last one.
Thank you. So when I was looking into, how many SDG goals does the family, well-being influence, and I got to know there are minimum of at least 7 SDG goals that are directly influenced by family, perspectives or well-being. So please correct me, or let's discuss later if there are other, goals that has been impacted by family well-being as well. So this is huge, out of 17, 7 are directly related with family well-being. So I think we have good, policies or programs that we have designed. Now I think we should give more focus on implementing those policies, and then, informing people, hey, if you work or invest on family, you are already investing on, achieving 7 SDG goals. If we say, convey our message towards that direction, I think we will, achieve the goal that we set. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That definitely reminds me of the SDGs and Families report that we prepared with UNICEF. And I saw many of you when we launched it here in the UN, and all those spillovers of all the family interventions in all the different goals. So thank you. Well, thank you for all the speakers. And I mean, I've been taking notes, but I'm definitely going to go through the recordings later for all your knowledge. And now I would like to offer the floor, as is our tradition in IFFD, to bring other voices from other civil society partners that we either meet around the world or here during the commission. So I'm going to give the floor to Ms. Yung Na from the Blue Tree Foundation for a brief statement. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon. My name is Yoon Na, a UN Youth Delegate from the Blue Tree Foundation. First of all, I'd like to thank the IFFD for giving me this opportunity to speak, not only on the behalf of a shared mission towards anti-violence, but as someone standing on the cusp of Gen Z, the generation of digital natives. The first iPhone came out in 2007, which is a whole year before I was born. And for the youth of 2025, every aspect of our lives is, as the ambassador of Poland mentioned earlier, the product of the digital revolution. Yet, in my personal life, I've found that we, the digital natives, remain the most vulnerable in certain situations. Just last year, South Korean schools experienced a surge of deepfake pornography. My friends and I were terrified, fearing for our privacy and rights. Despite being one of the most hyper-connected countries in the world, South Korea and its youths are very unprepared on how to deal with online challenges. This instance shows that despite the current definition of digital divide is only limited to unequal access in technology, but we must address significant gaps in how well the youth can navigate online challenges. The most vulnerable are exposed to amplified threats of cyberbullying, abuse, and exploitation. Hence, on the behalf of fellow South Korean youths and the delegation of the Blue Tree Foundation, I would like to implore the IFFD and the international community to address how we can improve digital literacy in a family setting. I believe that the current trend of excessive restrictions and banning for the purpose of online boundaries does not fully address the comprehensive needs of youth in global society. Hence, we must foster youth of responsible digital habits in youth, such as verifying information and teaching us on how to protect our privacy. And as these landscapes evolve, we must be equipped with not only the technical proficiency, but also with the critical thinking skills to navigate the cyberspace safely. I hope that through intergenerational support and through open communication with our families, we can build a socially inclusive environment where digital natives are safe, supported, and empowered. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ying. Now I'll give the floor to our second statement of today, and the last one, to the Professor Kyung-Ah Kwon from the Oklahoma University, please. You have the floor.
Hello everyone, I'm Kyung-Ah Kwon. Great. Hi, I'm Kyung-Ah Kwon. I'm a professor and researcher in child development and early childhood education from the University of Oklahoma. I'm so excited to be here to talk briefly about post-COVID children and families. As we all know, we are living the post-COVID era, but have we really recovered? The answer is no. So the report that has just released from Harvard and Stanford University show that children and youth in the United States continue to struggle, and then they fall behind academically and social-emotionally. And further, educational inequity, particularly across gender, race, and socioeconomic status, have only worsened after COVID. Unfortunately, many parents who are supposed to support and help children recover, they struggle themselves with many mental health issues, like high level of anxiety and depression, which make it difficult for them to be a good parent. And this is not only U.S. issue, as you all know. Low and middle income countries are facing even greater challenges. So what can we do? Given the potential relief fund, pandemic relief fund have dried up, we need to be very strategic in prioritize our investment. Here are two things I want to recommend as a researcher based on my extensive research I have conducted in the past years. First, we need to make a direct investment in parents' well-being. I totally agree to what you said. Parents' mental health, like depression, has been found to be as one of the strongest factors for children's learning and development. So expanding access to mental health resources, parenting workshops, and evidence-based guidance, particularly through free and easily accessible digital platform, can empower parents with the skills and confidence needed to support their own well-being and children's recovery. Second, strengthen critical support system. We must reinforce childcare, early intervention, public education, welfare system, and technology infrastructure, particularly for children whose parents are absent in their life, physically and psychologically, in part due to war, migration, incarceration, or mental health issues. However, many educators and care professionals leave field due to the lack of respect and livable wages, and are replaced with the inexperienced and unskilled workforce, which is a big threat to our society as a whole. So investing in highly qualified educators and care professionals is essential to ensure these children and their families receive the support they need. This is something my research team tried to address through the Happy Teacher Global Project to change the policies in improving early childhood educators' well-being and working condition, which has been very, very successful. In conclusion, the road to recovery is long, but we can build a community to heal together and lay a stronger foundation for children and families to thrive in the years ahead. I'm here hopeful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor. Well, now we have like 2 minutes for questions. I would like to recommend for you to state your name and perhaps your affiliation. And I open the floors for 1 or 2 questions. Please.
Good afternoon. My name is Gail Davis, and I am with Man Up Campaign and the program also that I direct within it, which is called the Creators 2030, which deals with arts and sports and youth. One of the things I think that is very, very important that you spoke of is the care economy and how it affects people around the world. It so happens I am also a volunteer on IFFD Finance Committee with Climate Finance. And the reason why I'm mentioning these two, the care economy is very important in terms of climate disasters and so forth, and to ensure that people are well taken care of. Now, we have the finance for development going on at the same time. I think it's important that we have, even though social protections are mentioned, but something like the care economy, somehow someone's going to be at the FFD, that they share that. Because if you don't have people to care for you as you get in older age, and all young people will be there at some point, as well as the people in this room, we will need some kind of care. And it's important that that is created and mentioned so that the FFD mechanism is aware of these things.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I don't know if Dino wants to answer something or enhance that.
No, thank you. I think we're at our time limit, I guess, but of course, I think it's a good point also to highlight the issue of social protection because, of course, it is very closely linked and very critical. Looking at universal social protection floors, reference has been made sort of like to certain situations. Of course, if a system is already in place, it's always easier to roll it out in case the need arises. So, yeah, just to maybe support the idea that, of course, universal social protection systems are supportive and can very much complement and support the care economy. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the experts wants to? Okay, if we have another question, then please, from Make Mothers Matter.
Thank you for the invitation, and congratulations to IFFD for this convening. My name is Farah Arabe. I'm here with Make Mothers Matter, a nonprofit organization based in Paris, founded in 1947. I just wanted to respond a little bit to Boniface's comments, which were not completed, unfortunately, at the beginning, but just to fully support the notion that early childhood development is way more than just education, that we need to start thinking from in utero to year 8, and that we need to start looking at those quality of relationships, because really the younger our children are, the more they experience their environment as an environment of relationships. But now my question is following up to your point of the need for data. How do we measure success in these early relationships? Is it possible for countries to measure, for example, levels of attachment in 1-year-olds or 6-month-old and have that as a world ranking, see which country ranks best and hold governments accountable for that kind of outcome? Thank you.
Please, Boniface. Yeah, I think we had that discussion before.
Great. So in terms of the SDG reporting, as we know, we have the ECD index, which UNICEF is part of that, and we measure children who are developmentally on track in terms of health, psychosocial well-being, and even the physical development. But that is from 24 months to 59 months. Then we have the GSET. This is for the younger ones. Now, when we check the countdown profiles, almost all the countries, you see a question mark on responsive caregiving. So responsive caregiving is not measured properly. But there is work that is almost, I would say almost done to ensure that that is more like closed, so that we can now be talking of the interaction itself. Because for a child 1-year-old, 2-year-old, it's more of the interaction. So I think that's the gap which is there, but work is ongoing. And I think once that is completed, then we'll have now exactly that being addressed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, I can continue with the conversation. We might not have more time for that, but now I'm gonna yield the floor to Nora again for the next part of the event.
Thank you, Alex. Let's now move to the awards ceremony. Since 2013, our federation has been presenting annually the IFFD Awards during the Commission for Social Development to persons or entities distinguished by the promotion of family perspective policies around the world. I have the honor to introduce the first IFFD Award of 2025 to the province of Bataan in the Philippines. The Bataan EduChild Parenting Program is a family-focused initiative implemented in the province of Bataan aimed at promoting family enrichment and strengthening parenting skills. Its objectives include family enrichment, child development, and community impact. Parents participate in structured training sessions that include discussions on real-life challenges and case studies. Modules cover topics like effective communication, character building, strengthening family relationships, and understanding children's needs, with positive reports and improved school performance among children whose parents completed the program. The program is rolled out through local government units and social welfare offices, ensuring accessibility to vulnerable families. Facilitators are trained to deliver the program effectively across municipalities in the province. The board of the International Federation for Family Development has decided for the province of Bataan to receive the 2025 IFFD Award for their visionary leadership and outstanding dedication to fostering community welfare and family resilience through the successful implementation of the program. Congratulations to the province of Bataan. I would like to call Her Excellency Monina Josefina Ramoldes, Undersecretary of the Department of Social Welfare and Development of the Republic of the Philippines, to accept the award on behalf of Governor Garcia.
Oh.
We will now listen to Governor Garcia's acceptance remarks on video.
most honorable dignitaries, esteemed guests, fellow advocates for family development, and distinguished members of the International Federation for Family Development, a pleasant day to everyone. On behalf of the provincial government of Bataan, it is with deep gratitude and great honor that I accept this prestigious International Federation for Family Development Award. This recognition is not only for our province but for every Filipino family whose resilience and strong values continue to be the foundation of our communities. In Bataan, we firmly believe that a strong nation begins with strong families. Thus, our programs and policies in government start and end with the pursuit of our vision that constantly reaches out para sa matatag na pamilyang Bataenyo. This belief has guided our advocacies, ensured that family development remains at the heart of our governance. Through our EduChild parenting program, we have seen firsthand the transformative power of parental education in shaping the future of our children and communities. Families who have participated in our parenting courses report healthier relationships, stronger values, better academic performance of children, and improved well-being, creating a ripple effect of positive change throughout the province. But no success is achieved alone. Our journey has been one of collaboration and shared commitment. The local government units of Bataan and the EduChild Foundation have worked hand in hand to implement meaningful programs that uplift Filipino families. This partnership between government and civil society serves as a model of how communities can unite efforts for a common goal, ensuring that families, the cornerstone of society, are nurtured and supported. We also recognize that the challenges we face in strengthening families are not unique to Bataan or the Philippines. Around the world, families struggle with modern pressures, shifting dynamics, and socioeconomic challenges. We believe that our experiences in Bataan can offer valuable lessons that other countries can adopt, that prioritizing family development in governance, investing in parenting education, and fostering strong collaborations can lead to lasting, positive change. Our efforts have now become more than just a local initiative. This collaboration has served as a springboard for a nationwide policy mandating all cities and municipalities to implement family development programs through the Parent Effectiveness Service Act, ensuring that more Filipino families across the country benefit from the same guidance, education, and empowerment that we have fostered in our province. This award inspires us to continue our mission. It reinforces our commitment to build strong, value-centered, and resilient families, and if it will be replicated beyond our province, then we take pride in contributing worthwhile efforts for the good of the world. On behalf of the province of Bataan, I extend my deepest gratitude to the IFFD for recognizing our effort, to our partners in EduChild Foundation for their unwavering dedication, and to every parent who has embraced the power of education in nurturing their children and strengthening their families. Let this recognition serve as a reminder that when we invest in families, we invest in a brighter future for all. Maraming salamat po, and may we all continue working together for stronger families, stronger communities, and a better world.
Thank you, Governor. We only wish he was here in person. But thank you, Monina, for being here. Our next awardee will be presented by Mr. Jisang Lee from the Blue Tree Foundation, an IFFD Award winner of 2024, to the SOS Children's Village. Mr. Jiang, you have the floor.
Thank you, Nora. As an awardee last year, it's an honor to give an introduction and congratulatory message to this year's awardee. SOS Children's Villages is the world's largest independent, non-governmental organization focused on supporting children and young people without parental care or at risk of losing it. The organization operates in over 130 countries and territories, providing alternative care and strengthening families to prevent child-family separation. SOS Children's Villages works extensively to support families and ensure children grow up in a nurturing environment. Their efforts include family strengthening programs, kinship care, alternative care, and community development. The organization envisions a world where every child belongs to a family and grows up with love, security, and respect. By strengthening families and providing alternative care when necessary, SOS Children's Villages has positively impacted millions of lives globally over its more than 75 years of operation. For these reasons, the International Board of the International Federation for Family Development has designed SOS Children's Villages International as a recipient of one of the 2025 IFFD Awards to honor their exceptional leadership at the United Nations in advocating for such family strengthening programs that prevent family separation, empower resilient families, and promote alternative care and stable environments for children. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Ms. Garcia. Please step forward to receive the award. Now, Mrs. Garcia, you have the floor for acceptance remarks.
Thank you so much. It's always a honor and an encouragement, really, to receive an award after years of investment and work here at the UN and across the world. But I think it's especially relevant. I was thinking this morning on what I was going to say in the moment we are living, right? It's no surprise for anyone, and it's almost obvious to say that we are at the economic, at the political, but most importantly, at the social crossroad, right? The tectonic plates of geopolitics and finance and beyond are moving, and societies will need to take decisions to shape the new realities. And for that, we need strong, responsible, socially conscious, and respectful citizens. And more importantly, people, right? And a key ingredient for it are stable, respected, and supported family relations of care and support. What is gonna lead the world into one direction or the other is the people that lives in it and the citizens that live in it, hopefully in an equal basis, and the base for that is care. Is the care that we receive when we are children, starting at the very early age. And we completely forget that in the UN conversation. It's not all about, it's very important, finance, but it's not all about that. Should be the base of it, not the forefront of it. Unfortunately as well, and to put a bit the political touch without, spoiling the party, we have sometimes politicized, stretched and loaded the conversation to a point of sometimes blockage at the UN, using individual rights as a political weapon or a negotiating chip, benefits nobody and harms children, adults, and societies at large. I have to say, events like today give me hope that we can get out of the blockage and that we can all really come together and talk in people's terms, putting people first. In the end, we all work on families. We just not call it like that, because when we're calling on employment, on where we are working on social protection, we are working on ensuring caring relationships within the family structure and beyond. In the end, the very basis of social protection is that we care for each other, right? That the government cares for us. The way to tell that is social protection. Good. It has been said in perfectly speech words what SOS does. I'm not going to repeat it. We have a website for that. But basically here at the UN, we come from a very specific perspective. And I think is the one we should all adopt in order to get out with practical results, impactful results. One is what the children and family tell us they want, right? And all forms of families. We work in 136 countries, and we listen to what the families we strengthen and support and the children we care for want. And that's the key. And sometimes they want things that we as an organization or governments understand, and sometimes not, but it's them who should decide and not us. And second, the very practical experience of addressing the cost of failed or inexisting family support policies. we, as it has been said, provide with alternative care. And what I often lack, and is because the ones of us that have been privileged to count on it forget that it could even be possible, is that children not only live in families that neglect them and so on, sometimes the outcome of the lack of support to a family is the worst case scenario for a child, which is the loss of the family. There are 200 million children today that live, according to our numbers, that live out of the family in alternative care or in very unstable families. There are many of them that live completely alone. I'm sorry, but all FFDs and CSOCDs and so on outcomes cannot move forward if a child that has lived alone and did not have with the attachment that we want to measure has to implement them. Right? And that, by the way, from an economic aspect, it costs much more to provide with alternative care than with family care. So it's not only, of course, the moral and the right thing to do from a child rights perspective, but also the right investment to do, right? The Swedish minister said it yesterday in the opening of the CSOCD. Is the best tool to prevent the costs of alternative care provision. So when we come to the UN, to ask for family strengthening policies, we are coming to ask for the protection of child rights and the protection of caregiver rights. It is not opposing, it is complementary. The caregiver and the care receiver, and it's a unit. And we are in the end asking to invest in societies and in people. We need to be, in some of all I've said, we need to be clever and boost the power of families and communities. I'm going to finish, but I want to, we feel privileged to count with the partnership of organizations such as IFFD and child rights partners at the UN. We are not always in agreement. We are not always 100% aligned. But the joint goal of contributing to the social good and the simple openness of dialogue, learning from each other and reaching consensus or trying, is a value in itself that we cannot let go of. That's why we are proud to be here today. I am personally thankful to Alex Vázquez for the company, the learnings, the mutual challenging, and the collaboration all these years. I'm thankful for Nilay Tunkok, which is my colleague in the New York office, and all the colleagues in SOS Children's Villages that in one way or the other have supported the mission of SOS CV here at the UN, from Costa Rica, Georgia, Mexico, Germany, Austria, you name it. And most importantly, we are thankful for the families, caregivers, and children and young people that share their expertise and their experience every day with us. In sum, to those that brought the practical work into our normative efforts are the recipients of this award. Looking forward to keep working together for a better world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Garcia. Allow me to congratulate both of our awardees for all the efforts conducted to improve the life of many families and children worldwide. The world is definitely a better place because of the contributions you make. This event has come to an end, and I would like to ask Ms. Renata Karczmarska, focal point on the family at UNDESA, for closing remarks. Ms. Karczmarska, you have the floor.
Thank you, Nora. Thank you so much to all that gathered here today. I am very grateful for your presence and would like to thank you so much for sharing your academic, your institutional, your national perspectives. And indeed, as has been said here, it also gives me big hope to see that everybody here in this room and beyond in your constituencies recognizes the role of family-friendly and family-oriented policies for the well-being of the whole society. So if we were to pick one word or one issue that really dominated the discussion, it's the word care. And we mean all forms of care. And And of course, care is linked to demographic change. This is the mega trend we really explored in our preparations for the 30th anniversary on the National Year of the Family. And I see that this concern about aging societies has been expressed here, has been expressed as the forum of the Commission. Probably the most important trend that we have to really find a way to be expressed in the political declaration of the upcoming World Social Summit. And the other mega trend that we have approached so much was the technological change. And here again, it has been shared also by the Voice of Youth. That the digital world that we live in, we don't really have a blueprint on how to deal with all the challenges that it brings about. So I think the demographic change and technological change and all the implications that they have for evolving society are really very important to be addressed by the upcoming summit. And I hope that the contribution of our preparations for the anniversary are useful also in preparation for the summit. And I may, if I may boast a bit, when listening to the Commission and the discussions of the Commission, the concerns about the impact of megatrends are there, and we have approached this concern. We have really approached the exploration of how megatrends impact families in our preparations for the anniversary. So so we have accumulated a very large body of knowledge, recommendations through our international, regional expert group meetings. So we truly hope that they will be brought on board in the years to come, and will. I hope we are embarking on the decade of implementation of family-friendly and family-oriented policies. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming, and the program has ended. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to call the panelists for a picture by the